Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are here sharing their insights and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions. We help businesses scale their revenue using outside the box visibility and marketing avenues. And I'm excited to dive in today because this is an amazing company. I've done some research and I think I'm really excited to have Ron with us today. So without further ado, let me introduce Ron Pereira with Gemba Academy. Welcome, Ron, to the podcast.
Hey, Heidi. Thanks for having me on. This is fun.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time. So kick us off, Ron, by telling us a little bit about yourself, Gemba Academy, and your role within it.
So I'm a little bit by myself. I live here in Keller, Texas with my wife and children, and we've been here for quite some time. Just right outside of Fort Worth, Texas, if you've never heard of Keller, which many people probably haven't. So just professionally speaking, I worked at Motorola and Nokia. So I always joke I went to where cell phones went to die, So, but it was an incredible experience, specifically because of the line of work that I'm in, and I'll get to that. But so I worked in just various sort of like engineering roles, building lots and lots and lots of cell phones back in the day. From there, I went to a company called Flowserve. They're here in Irving, Texas, headquartered in Irving, Texas, but they make like these big giant sort of like pumps that pump water, and they have all very different industry than what I had been in with electronics. But I was kind of an executive there for several years, but I've always been, I was always kind of called myself an entrepreneur trapped in corporate America. So I had constantly tried just my poor wife, God bless her, she dealt with it for many years. Like I tried little businesses on the side while I was gainfully employed, obviously, to feed my family. And nothing worked. And I tried crazy stuff like gumball machines, and I was going to be a gumball machine empire, and I'm sure they work, but it didn't work for me. So anyhow, me and a couple of guys that I've known for a long time, John Miller and Kevin Meyer, we kind of had this idea. This was back in 2008 or so time frame, 2007, 2008. We all had blogs back then. I mean, people still have blogs, but they're not like they used to be. But back in the day, blogs were pretty popular, right? A lot of people got their information there. So the three of us all had our own individual blogs, and we had pretty good following, the three of us. So, and we had just known each other. They were also in this sort of lean and Six Sigma world that's kind of what we teach about. And so we got this idea. I was like, man, you guys ever thought about making videos? And they were like, no. I mean, this is like, not even like Netflix and all this kind of stuff hadn't really exploded like it has now. But and they were like, well, I mean, it'd be cool, but I have no idea how to do it. And I'm like, yeah, me either. Well, anyhow, I did a little research and I stumbled on this guy's, his name's Dave Kaminsky. He's still around, actually. And he had this course back then, and it may still exist for all I know, but it was called Web Video University. And he had just started it, and it was this video course on how to make videos. So I bought it with my own money, and I just kind of went through it, and I was like, I told John and Kevin, I said, I think I can do it, man. And so the content wasn't the problem. Like we all knew the content, right? I was like, but yeah, how do I make a video, right? Like getting that content into a video. So long story short, I converted a spare bedroom in my house into a little studio, had a little, green screen and some lights and a really cheap camera in the beginning, and rigged up a teleprompter somehow. I don't even know how I got all this stuff working. And anyhow, I made a course. It was 12 videos. And that's how Gemba Academy was born in I guess it was 2009 when we March of 2009 when we officially started the company with 12 videos. And obviously, we all had jobs or whatever. Nobody was, I'm not one of those, I quit my job and went all in. I didn't, because I had to feed my family, right?
Right.
And so anyhow, we slowly kind of just built it up, and next thing you know, we got a few customers, and I was like, oh my gosh, people are paying us to watch our videos, and it was just pretty amazing. And long story short, about a year and a half or so into that, I quit my very good, successful corporate job, and went all in. I was the first one to sort of go all in, and yeah, just never looked back. And now we've got 30 some employees, and we've customers all over the world. And yeah, so it's been a real blessing, but it was an interesting journey to
Yeah.
for.
And how many years has this journey been going on for?
Well, like I said, we officially stood the company up in 2009.
Okay.
So yeah, you can do the math. So
Perfect.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about growth because you've been around for a while and you've seen it from the very, very beginning all the way to now. And there's been a lot of transitions that we'll talk about that you've gone through. But real quick, shout out to your wife.
yeah,
Right? That's an important piece of being an entrepreneur. Is having a successful somebody behind you, whether it's your partner, whether it's
yeah,
a friend, whether it's a community that you're
right.
finding. So
Yeah,
yeah, big shout out to her and
yeah.
your family. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
important. So Ron, when you have partners, so I want to dive into that dynamic too because you have two other partners, and I think
Yeah.
that's a big thing that we can talk into. So I want to go there, but before we do, for our listeners, tell us who you serve and how you serve them. Can you walk us through that?
So yeah, so Gemba Academy. So our primary customers are, well, they're well, it's interesting. The majority of our customers are companies who will subscribe to our platform. And it's like a Netflix type model, right? You pay an annual subscription and you have access to all of our content. And then we're constantly adding content. We have a whole content development team that they never stop. And it's a renewal business, right? And so that's the game, right? Is to continue to add value and people will keep paying you, right? And so that's what we do. And that's, well, really what we've been from the very beginning, even when subscription models weren't all that popular, back in the 2009, 2010, it wasn't like it is now, right? So we were sort of newer to the game in that way. But Lean and Six Sigma, they're well, maybe a general term is like continuous improvement. And so Lean is actually modeled after the company Toyota, the cars. So their company is very efficient and they have what they call the Toyota production system. And so it's all about sort of like efficiency and productivity and getting the best out of our people and respecting the people. So they love working at the company and it creates this incredible atmosphere. So that's what Lean is. Lean is modeled after kind of what Toyota did. And there's many other companies that practice it. Six Sigma was sort of born at Motorola back in the day. And it's more on, it's also a continuous improvement methodology, but it might rely a little bit more on like statistics and analyzing data and so that sort of thing. So many people in our world will sort of combine them. You can call it Lean Six Sigma or Lean and Six Sigma, or some purists don't like it when you call it Lean Six Sigma. So, but anyhow, it's trying to basically help companies and help individuals be more productive, get the most out of everything that they have going on. So, they can grow and be profitable and serve the world. So that's kind of the topics. And we also have like just maybe more generic leadership type training. So anybody, even if you weren't into Lean and Six Sigma, everybody should be into like leadership development and how to lead people and that sort of thing. So we've got content like that, project management, and we've got thousands of videos now. So it's a mind-blowing library.
Yeah, you've
We've
got a
come a long
crazy
way.
extensive. Yeah, you've got an extensive library. So, what gaps in traditional corporate training did Gemba Academy set out to address, especially around lean thinking and operational excellence?
Yeah, so I would say a lot of like one of the tenets of lean is what we call just in time. And so like for example, Toyota, the idea would be that the vehicles are produced when they're needed. So you don't want to have a lot of cars sitting on a lot, right? Because that doesn't do the company any good because you invested all that money and you got all that money out there. So you want to sort of turn that inventory over, right? And so that's sort of the philosophy of lean is to just be really productive and really efficient with all of your resources. So, and then again, Six Sigma is very similar. It's more on the sort of quality and reducing defects. And so you make good products, but they're very complementary methodologies, obviously. They work very well together. So
How does an investment in process and lean training through platforms like Gemba Academy translate into measurable performance gains for businesses?
So when people, well, if the company or an organization, and one thing I didn't answer on my previous question, and I will circle back to that, is that also do certification. So in our world, there's a thing called green belt and black belt and master black belt. And I don't know, this is more on the Six Sigma side, but so this is an individual, right, that will come to us seeking a certification. So we have a whole arm of our business that they focus on just that as well. So we are working with individuals in addition to corporations. So now, what was the question? The last question. Sorry, I want to make sure I answer it right.
How does an investment in process and lean training, especially with a platform like yours, Gemba Academy, translate into measurable performances for the businesses and the gains that they're going to see?
Right. So what I like to say, I like to be really blunt with people. It's not like get rich quick. If people want get rich quick, I don't want their money, right? It's hard work. Like the things that we teach and preach, they take an investment in time and energy and patience. Now you don't get me wrong. I mean, you can subscribe to our platform and we can point you to a few of our sort of quick hitting type courses that people can go out in 5 days. You can like radically transform an aspect of your business, like blow your mind kind of thing. So there are some quick win type things that you can do. But in order to sort of turn a company from what we would call more of a traditional sort of minded company to more of what we call a lean thinking company, that can take years, right, to really sort of turn the ship, if you will, depending, especially if it's a really big company, right? Because then it takes a long time to turn a big ship. But yeah, you can have some quick win type things, and it's really all about efficiency and productivity. So if you're making a lot of defective parts, for example, or, even in our world, if we have a ton of editing to do on a video because the host or the guest kept messing up or whatever, like that would be an opportunity to think about some of these lean tools that we teach to, like, hey, how do we reduce that friction, right? And make it more easier for our editors, right, to produce our product and get it out to the customer faster, that sort of thing. So I don't know, that's a little bit about what we do and what the methodology is all about.
No, I appreciate it. And I appreciate your candor. You're like, listen, I'm, to be honest, it's a process and it's a journey and it's not a quick fix. And
Yeah.
I think that's important that companies realize when they're going to make the investment, like this gets to be a journey that you are part of their team. You're part of the process. We're going to work with them over the long haul in order to help them achieve the goals that they're looking to achieve around efficiency, which I've always told my clients, I'm like, efficiency is key in your business.
Right.
The leaner you can be, the more efficient you're going to be, the faster you can grow. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Ron, what trends such as microlearning, AI-driven assessments, or social collaboration tools are you most excited about in the lean learning space?
Yeah, I mean, as it relates to sort of like microlearning or whatever, we have learned over the years, like we have this form of video, we'll call it like Gemba Insights, we'll call them, and they're sort of short, quick hitting type videos. But like one of our traditional courses, an individual video might be 8 minutes long. We've kind of learned that, especially us adults, like our attention span isn't great, unless it's an entertaining kind of Netflix movie or something, right? But
or this podcast.
This podcast for sure, right? For sure. So we do sort of kind of, try to keep things moving and keep them quick, and we have amazing editors who just are fantastic at graphics and different things like that to keep everything interesting, because sometimes the topic itself, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, right? So you've got to sort of bring a different type of energy to it to, keep people engaged and want to go on to the next.
Yeah. You talked about your partners. So you have a partnership within Gemba Academy. That's how you launched. So I'm curious, I have a partnership in my business, and I'm sure other people that are listening do, or they're maybe thinking about it. what are some of the ways or advice you can give on making a partnership work? Because it's not just you at the helm making decisions. There's benefit. I'm sure there's benefits, but there's also challenges along the way. I know for us, the benefit is there's somebody else to support, especially if one of us are having an off day, we got the other person to like lean into. And also we have both to have different skill sets, which is beneficial. So I've loved your take on it.
Yeah, it's a great question. So especially in the early days, like the very, very early days, it was me. And so my two other partners, John Miller and then Kevin Meyer. Now, Kevin has since actually retired, but that was just like a year or so ago. So, but when we stood the company up, what was great was we all had our strengths and we complemented each other very well. Kevin is the tech guy, right? So he stood up the website, and I mean, he also knows lean. Don't get me wrong, we all do. But his strength in the business was all the technology type stuff. Like I don't know how to do that stuff and don't care to learn. So he took care of all that. John Miller then, and John is still active in the business with me and our team. And John is, well, I'd like to say he was my teacher and still is. John has actually, I always say he's forgotten more about lean than I'll ever know. Like he's brilliant. And I'm not just saying that because he's my business partner and friend, but he's an American guy, but he was actually raised in Japan and Toyota, Japan, right? So like that's where all the stuff sort of originated. So John learned from some of these folks over there who were at the very beginning of this whole movement. And so that's how John learned about all this stuff. And he started a consulting company called Gemba Research. And when I was working at my different corporate jobs, we had actually hired Gemba Research to come in to teach us. And that's how I met John. And John's about my age, maybe a few years older, but he looks really young. Even today, he looks young. And I remember he came walking in and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he's a kid, And then he started talking and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's brilliant, And so anyhow, but that's kind of, that's sort of so John really helps with all of the content development. So he runs our content development team now. And I'm I know enough to be dangerous, in the Lean and Six Sigma world, but my talent was back then, at least, I was in front of the camera, right? Like I didn't care. Like John's an introvert, so is Kevin, and neither one of them had any interest in like looking into a camera and talking, and I didn't care. I've done a lot of training, like a lot of in-person training. And so like I don't mind, communicating like that. Now talking into a teleprompter is a very different deal, like because there's nobody looking back at you but a screen with rolling words, So it took me a little while to get decent at it, but that was sort of, and then I would take care of all the video editing and all the rest of it in the beginning. Like I did all of the content, and then I would give it to Kevin and he would get it on the website, and he handled the subscription platform and all that kind of stuff back then, which was very archaic compared to what it is today, but we made it work. And so that the three of us really just sort of harmonized, and we all had different talents, and there was just a beautiful synergy to the way that we all worked. And yeah, we pulled it off, and now we've got a whole team that like I don't edit videos anymore and that sort of thing. So
yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's not something we've really talked about on this podcast so far. So I was really excited to dive into that topic a little bit. So I'd like to move and shift into growth. You've been around since, I think you said 2009, a long time, and you've grown to 30. So I'd love to know, what are some of the challenges you faced during that period of time? You don't have to tell us, a ton of them if you want to pick one or two out. And then how did you overcome them? I know that we had some, definite challenges with the pandemic and moving into remote learning, moving into remote. I don't know if you were remote before, or that was always where you were. So that really wasn't a big challenge for you. So I'd love to know what some of those were and how them.
COVID was an interesting one for us. I mean, just logistically speaking, we do have our video studio and offices here in Keller, Texas that some of us work at, but many of like John, for example, he's in Washington. So we've got some people who work from home full time because they're just not in Texas. But even the people that live here around our facility, they only come into the office typically 2 days a week. There's a few of us that come in every day. I live 5 minutes away, so I come in every day. But that's sort of like how we're set up from a infrastructure perspective. What was the other part of the question?
It just some of the challenges that you faced when you were growing, because you have grown, gone from the three of you to 30. And I'm sure that there were some challenges along the way that you faced over the last, I don't know,
Yeah.
14
Well,
years or.
right. So with COVID, what was interesting was, I mean, there wasn't that many people to send home, so to speak. And, I was kind of one of those rebellious ones. I'm like, I'm going to the office. I don't, there's nobody here anyhow, um, so didn't really disrupt us at all. And in fact, I mean, I'm just very, very thankful for this, that if anything, the pandemic probably helped our business,
Mhm.
right? And I say that with all humility because I know a lot of people didn't have that same fortune, and I
Right.
definitely have empathy for that. So, but in our situation, just the way that we were lined up, I mean, people wanted to keep learning, and you could do it from wherever you wanted as long as you had a computer in front of you, right? You could watch our content. And so, but it was it was still a challenge. I mean, we didn't it wasn't like this big explosion or anything. So we had to navigate through that. I'm trying to think if there's been any other bumps along the way. I mean, it's kind of a slow and steady has always been our style as far as our growth. I mean, we've never we've had some years that were like incredible. Then we've had some years that were like, okay, we grew, but, it wasn't, massive. So, but just sort of slow and steady wins the race is our philosophy. And really what we are always trying to do, and this is a sort of a key tenet of lean, is always add value. If you just maximize the value that you give to the world, people will pay you for that. And if you stop adding value to them, they're not going to pay you, right? It's really as straightforward as that. If you have a restaurant, make great food that people will love to eat and want to come back, and great service, and and people will keep coming. Have bad food, have bad service, you're going to go out of business, right? So it's just sort of business 101, but that's sort of how we tried to operate from the very beginning.
So visibility wise, you had shared you're an extrovert. You have no problem getting in front of the camera. But visibility wise, marketing wise, what are some of the things that you've done that have really helped you stand out for your clients to find you? Like, what are you doing? And also that's worked. But on the flip side, what maybe are some things that you've done that just haven't worked for you, if there are any?
Yeah. So what's worked? We also have a podcast, and we do a weekly show. We're on, I don't even know what episode we're on. I should know that off the top of my head, but I don't. Let me just pull it up here. We are, yeah, 594 came out to episode 594 came out today, and we release an episode every Thursday, and I'm very, very proud to say we have never missed a week.
That's
So
awesome.
594 episodes in a row every Thursday. And we've got a great team that
Mhm.
does that. I have the easy part. I just talk to people, and then they do all the hard work. So that's been I think that's a really good aspect of our marketing is our podcast. We've got like many companies, we've got a really sizable email list. And so we really respect our list, and that's a big piece of advice I have for people. Do not spam your list, and if you send something, there better be value in what you're sending, or people are going to unsubscribe. If you're always asking, but you're never giving, that, in my opinion, is not the way to operate. And so we've built up a huge reach with our sort of our marketing newsletters, and like again we do have a traditional blog. I would say the blog probably was more popular, whatever, 5 years ago, something. I feel like blogging has kind of turned a corner a little bit, and it's not like it used to be, at least for us. But we still post our articles on a regular basis. And again, trying to add value, right? If you write an article, give a little value and people will read. So, I mean, that's probably in a nutshell our marketing style is just try to give value to the world and small micro pieces or whatever it might be. And, the business will come,
Mhm.
right? So,
Awesome. So what's next for Gemba Academy? What's on the agenda? Like, what are the big goals for you for the next 12 months?
well, we've got a full content development roadmap, obviously, that we're constantly we've got a state-of-the-art studio right over here on the other side of our building, and our team's in there. In fact, they're shooting today, I think. So we're constantly making more courses, and well, sometimes we'll even go back and sort of, we call it refresh, like an older course. Like all the videos that were done in my bedroom way back in the day, they have been refreshed probably at least once, sometimes twice. So unfortunately, there's no more, bed sheets on the back wall as your backdrop videos, but we have them in archives somewhere. But so yeah, we're constantly doing that. We do a lot of in-person training as well, so we'll do that here. We've got a beautiful training center here in our facility, and so we'll have folks come in here, at least once a month. We'll have some sort of a live instructor class. But we can send some of our live instructor trainers to companies. If they don't want to send people here, we'll send our trainer there. So, that's more the traditional in-person type training, but we for sure offer that as well. So
yeah. Well, to keep all that footage, because you do one of those, I see them all over now. It's like where we were, or how where we were and how is it going now, or something like that. Like when it's contrasting, I love seeing those because it's so cool to see where a company or someone started to where they are now. And it all comes down to persistence, and you did it. You're the epitome of it. You did it while you're working corporate. And then you went all in when the time was right for you. So, and again, like when you were saying, like, we so slow and steady has always been what we've done. I thought of the tortoise and the hare, and the tortoise won, wins, because it's just keeping consistency and being persistent and not giving up. Because sometimes we give up right when that we're about to turn that corner,
for sure.
So, Sure. So if I could give you a magic wand, Ron, and you can wave it over one challenge that you're having right now that you could go poof on, that could possibly keep you from achieving your goals or what you want to, where you guys are headed, what would that be and why?
Great question. I think probably a thing that, so I'm the, managing director of the company now. So like I have ultimate responsibility for, 30 some people's jobs and all of our customers. So that's a lot of weight, and I wonder, will people be watching video 10 years from now? I don't know. I don't know. And right now, we still have TVs in our homes and everybody clicks them on and they're watching their favorite shows. So that really has stayed pretty consistent. But so those are the things I think about, like, what's the future of learning look like, right? And, all the AI stuff, whatever, it's use it and adopt it, and we do, and we're not fighting it. But I don't think that AI in and of itself is going to sort of like ever completely remove the need for other humans to interact and learn from other humans, right? And so, but will that be through a 2D video? That's what I don't know, right? And so those are the things that I think a lot about, and trying to, keep an eye on what the tech world is doing, what sort of new innovations, like back in the day, we would go through put your goggles on and that was going to be and it never really went anywhere, right? Like all that. So but I don't know what the next technology boom's going to be, but whatever it is, we'll be there, right? And so we're constantly sort of monitoring that.
Yeah. So if I could bring you back in 12 months, in a year from now, and we could revisit this conversation, Ron, what does success look like for you in Gemba Academy?
Slow and steady growth. Nothing real exciting, honestly. We've got a very detailed plan of what we want to accomplish. And again, that's sort of a lean concept. Like we call it plan, do, check, adjust. So you make a plan, you do it, you check, and then you would make adjustments along the way. And you just keep doing that. We call it turn the PDCA cycle. You just keep cycling that again and again and again. And you're sort of learning your way forward, right? And so that's really how we operate our company. So we have a plan, like a really specific, detailed 12-month plan, but we're also agile and flexible enough that, hey, we're 4 months in and we've got to pivot a little bit, and we will, right? And so, but I really encourage everybody to have a very specific plan for what you hope to accomplish and what kind of sort of growth you hope to achieve and that sort of thing. So
yeah, it's really important you're checking in way before the year end mark, right? 12 months. If you're not checking in before 12 months to see what's working, what's not working, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities along the way for sure. So yeah, that's a huge
Yeah,
goals
for
out
me,
there.
a month is, I mean, we have a detailed analysis at the end of every month. But even that to me is like, it's kind of a lagging indicator, man. I'm like, so I've got my finger on the pulse sort of like on a daily basis, really.
Yeah.
But you can lose your mind that way too, right? Have a bad couple days or whatever, and oh my gosh, we're going to go out of business. And then,
Yeah.
so you do have to sort of, relax and breathe and sort of let your people do their work kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, for sure. So Ron, how can people connect with you in Gemba Academy? Where can they find you? And also the podcast.
So GembaAcademy.com, two A's in the middle. So Gemba is Gemba and then academy.com. That's our main website. Our podcast, it's real, real original. It's called the Gemba Academy podcast. So yeah, it's on all the iTunes and Spotify and everywhere podcasts are found. So you can look us up there. And yeah, so that's it. Yeah, GembaAcademy.com and check out the podcast.
Perfect. And we're going to have all of Ron's contact information, all of his links and channels inside the show notes. So if you're on the road driving, no worries, we got you. But it's easy, super simple, GembaAcademy.com. And It's two A's in the middle, GembaAcademy.com.
Exactly.
And then go check out the podcast at Gemba Academy. I'm going to be checking it out. So definitely go check it out. We'll listen together. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Ron and I are appreciative. Please drop Ron a note below in the comments. Let him know you were here and hit that subscribe button if you'd like. We have our guests like Ron today are really incredible. They're taking their time to spend time with me and you to share their insights and wisdom on what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, that has created the growth that they've been able to sustain in their business, and also share where they're going and what it looks like. So if you know somebody that would benefit from Gemba Academy, then please share Ron and this episode with them. This is how we get to help each other grow. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you listen, and you can leave a review, we'd love for you to hit those 5 stars and also comment. We'll shout you out here. That helps us, the platforms, actually push our podcast out to support more businesses in their growth. Because at the end of the day, we're looking to keep more doors open when it comes to businesses succeeding. I have a gift for y'all too. Normally I'll let you know at the beginning, and I didn't do that, but I always promise a gift at the end of the show. If you're looking to grow your visibility, Ron has been gracious enough to share what's been working for him. But you feel like you've been trying different things and they're just not working, then go ahead and download our Spotlight to Scale blueprint. It's free. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint and grab it. Ron, before I wrap up and let you go for the day, I appreciate your time. Is there anything else you'd like to share or that I didn't touch on or I didn't ask you today?
I guess maybe just parting thoughts would be for people to keep trying to make improvements in all areas of their life, their physical health and your relationships and then for sure at work, add value and try to make improvements and be kind to one another. I feel like that's something that's not said enough. Just be nice, do something nice. That's maybe the takeaway. Everybody do something nice for someone today, and even in secret, and people don't even know who did it. Just be nice and be kind.
Well, I'm not even going to say anything else because that's just perfection right there. So thank you, Ron, for joining me today. Thank you all for listening to Ron and I. Go to GembaAcademy.com and check it out. And we will see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.